Video number 100. Woo! So yeah, welcome to video number 100. I have to say it's pretty good that I've gotten to upload 100 good videos for you guys over the past couple of months, basically.
Hello Ace, this is RetroTK2 and today we're celebrating the 100th video on the channel. So let's get started. And there we have it Ace, 100 videos on YouTube. Well, technically this is the 101st video Ace. I did this to one of my early series outline videos a while back. So according to the channel page, we're still at 99 and with this upload it makes it 100. But this is my 101st published video Ace, and it ties in very well to what I want to talk about in this special. Keeping up with the tradition of revealing more of myself, this episode is going to be the most exposing yet, and will probably maintain the top spot for some time. The excitement is killing me Ace, so let's get stuck in. Well, over the past couple of months I've been seeing a psychiatrist. Yeah, I know Ace, instantly a crazy person. But I actually chose to see the psychiatrist completely of my own accord. I wasn't told to go because I was a danger to anyone, and I wasn't referred there because I couldn't look after myself. The reason I did it is because I'm a massive perfectionist, Ace. Wait, what? Yeah, it turns out being a perfectionist actually counts as a mental condition. Now, if you've been on my channel for any length of time, you'll know that my videos hardly scream perfection. In fact, a number of them have some pretty bad flaws, but I uploaded them anyway because they were passable. If you've watched my previous C# Bare Basics folder, the actual script name didn't matter. That's because being a perfectionist doesn't mean that you create things that are perfect. It means that you find it an immense struggle to settle for things that are anything less than perfect. Or at least, less than perfect in your mind's eye. Confused? Yeah, it might be hard to believe that this has been such an annoying psychological problem that has plagued my life for many, many years. You might even think that perfectionism is actually quite a good quality to have, an ability to strive for the very best in yourself, to become the best version of you that you can be, right? Well, it would be ideal if this was the case, Ace, but in my experience it has been nothing but a barrier to success. According to Psychology Today, for perfectionists, life is an endless report card on accomplishments or looks. It's a fast and enduring track to unhappiness, and perfectionism is often accompanied by depression and eating disorders. What makes perfectionism so toxic is that while those in its grip desire success, they are most focused on avoiding failure, so theirs is a negative orientation. And love isn't the refuge. In fact, it feels way too conditional on performance. Perfection, of course, is an abstraction, an impossibility in reality, and often it leads to procrastination. There is a difference between striving for excellence and demanding perfection. The need for perfection is usually transmitted in small ways from parents to children, some as silent as a raised eyebrow over a B rather than an A. It's really sad reading something that describes me perfectly, Ace. For me, doing any sort of work becomes a chore. It's like I know before I start the work that it'll never be as perfect as I want it to be. Because in order to get the work to be that perfect level, I'd have to spend countless days working on that project. In fact, I might have to redo some tasks, just because they have minor flaws. Work is not something I shy away from, Ace. In fact, I enjoy it quite a lot. Being of use in the world and to others is a very good trait to have in my opinion, but sacrificing all your time for one project is not the answer to a happy life. Or at least, it doesn't seem like it is in my experience. Anyway, my psychiatrist has got me to read a book called Reinventing Your Life, the breakthrough program to end negative behaviour and feel great again. It was written by Dr. Jeffrey Young and Dr. Janet Klosko, and was published in 1994. 1994, eh? Oh yeah, that was a very good year in my opinion, since that's also the year that Super Metroid was released. My favourite game, as you well know, Ace. It's weird getting help from a book that was written way back in the day when my problems were probably getting developed. It would be great to get a time machine, head back to meet my child self, and tell him, hey there, get your mum and dad to read this to you. It'll change your life someday. I found it strange that 1994 would have such an influential effect on my life, Ace. So much so that, for a laugh, I figured I'd check to see what other things of note happened in 1994. Well, my favourite movie, The Shawshank Redemption, was created. The Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, who are my favourite band by the way, Ace, released their album Question the Answers, and hosted their first annual Hometown Throwdown Music Festival. The PlayStation was also released, yes, but I must admit I was more of a Nintendo kid back in the day. And O.J. Simpson went on the run. Well, hopefully that doesn't have too much of a significant impact on my life. Hey, yes? Right, back to the book. Basically, it talks about something called schema therapy and life traps. What is a life trap, or a schema? Well, according to verywell.com, a schema is a cognitive framework or concept that helps organize and interpret information. Schemas can be useful because they allow us to take shortcuts in interpreting the vast amount of information that is available in our environment. However, these mental frameworks also cause us to exclude pertinent information to focus instead only on things that confirm our pre-existing beliefs and ideas. Schemas can contribute to stereotypes and make it difficult to retain new information that does not conform to our established ideas about the world. Here's the perfectionism schema ACE, also known as unrelenting standards. At the top of the schema, I have self-worth overly dependent on the pursuit and achievement of unrelenting standards. Then my underlying rules or assumptions are activated. For example, musts, shouldn'ts, and can'ts. Whenever this is applied to my work, it really does make for a less than productive working environment, ACE, and makes me far less creative. After that, I set the unrelenting standards. Perfectionism behaviours, for example, excessive checking and procrastination occur. You would think that unrelenting standards would force you to want to work, but because I know that I'll never be able to attain the impossible standard I've set myself, I just really don't want to do it at all, ACE. The excessive checking is something I do, or did do, quite a lot, ACE. Though having automated processes did help that stuff a little bit, or at least it helped at a surface level. After all that, I get to perfectionistic thinking, evaluate performance in an all-or-nothing style, looking out for mistakes or signs of failure. Right, okay, so what happens if I fail to meet these standards? Well, then I hit the self-criticism part of the schema, ACE, which usually puts me in a very, very low mood. Tragic, I know, ACE, but what is worse is if I actually achieve the goals I set out for myself, it's still not good enough. So I meet the standards, but I decide the original standards were not demanding enough. So I reset to make sure the standards are now even greater and run the whole process all over again. This would be hilarious, ACE, if it wasn't so sad. This is the programming I currently run in my head, and you can basically never win with it. The only real thing I can do is not lose, but in not losing, I make the next iteration even harder on myself, until it reaches a point that I will fail. I guess perfectionism is very like Dark Souls in a way, ACE. These schemas are terrible, and there is an absolute ton of them. Here's a quick list of the main ones from the book and how I scored with them in my sessions. Now, any one of them with low to medium score is considered healthy, ACE, but look at all the high and very high scores. I gotta tell you, ACE, I was shocked when I saw this. I felt like I did when I used to play Roller Coaster Tycoon. I'd spend all my time creating a massive roller coaster only to get the value of low, ultra extreme, ultra extreme. To make matters somewhat worse, ACE, I believe I should have scored a high rating for defectiveness, failure, and possibly abandonment as well. This is just from reading those sections in the book, ACE, since the behaviours exhibited by the patients seem to coincide with my own. The way that you find out if you have these schemas is by filling in a questionnaire with questions like, I do not have a stable base of support, I am working below my potential, and nothing I do is good enough. You then have to say if you agree, disagree, strongly agree, etc. The really tricky thing with these life traps is the way they can affect you, ACE. Generally, you'll have three main coping strategies for them. They are surrender, escape, and counterattack. Surrender is fairly obvious, I guess, since it's when you give in to the life trap. You act as if the life trap is correct, and you feel as though you can't do anything about it. The escape strategy is kind of like an avoidance of the life trap, ACE. Usually people like this will use drugs or alcohol to get rid of their life trap's negative feelings. And finally, the counterattack strategy, where you reject the life trap so much so that you go the complete opposite direction to it. This is a strategy I have adopted for a few of these life traps, ACE, and I also believe I have used this strategy for defectiveness, failure, and abandonment. With defectiveness, the person feels that they are in some way unsuccessful in life, and it ties in perfectly with the failure life trap. I feel like this constantly is, and I find myself comparing myself to other people on a constant basis. I think as a YouTuber, this type of behaviour becomes somewhat normal, since you are constantly checking to see what other people in your niche are creating and how they are growing. But I do this checking and comparison in general life is. The main reason these life traps didn't seem to affect me is because I counterattack them so much so that I try to convince myself that I'm not what my life trap says I am.
You win. You have no dignity.
Looking at some of the statements from the book, we have questions like, I am working below my potential, I feel that I am a failure when it comes to achievement, and most people my age are more successful in their work than I am. All of these I would say describes me perfectly, yes. But the issue I have with them is their definition of success and failure. Like, what does it mean to fail or to succeed? I believe it is up to the interpretation of the patient, but I don't feel it's fair to word the question that way. The best statement out of the three is, I am working below my potential, since this question is not up for negotiation. It is how you, as the individual, feel about your potential, and whether you're reaching it or not. I only bring this up is because we get statements like, I was a failure as a student. I feel that I did not have any special talents that really count in life, and I feel humiliated by my failures in the work sphere. All of these I would disagree with somewhat, since while I don't believe I have reached a level that I am satisfied with, I don't believe that I have completely failed in my achievements. Well then, I don't have the life trap, right Ace? But in the book, reading about how a person is affected by the life trap describes me perfectly. People with this life trap believe their actual level of achievement is lower than their potential, and no matter what your actual status or degree of accomplishment, the inner world is the same. Whether you appear to be a success or not, most of the time you experience yourself as a failure. Life traps are funny as well, yes, since they all play off each other and seem to contradict each other too. For me, with my perfectionism, I tend to procrastinate, since I know that the content that I will create will never be as good as I want it to be. But my defectiveness life trap makes me want to prove myself to the world and makes me overwork when it comes to YouTube. So either my defectiveness life trap activates when I give into my perfectionism and take a break from my work, or my perfectionism activates when I give into my defectiveness so that when I actually do sit down to do work, I get the constant "this content isn't good enough" garbage talk going over and over in my head. It's a complete nightmare, yes. I've suffered with this scheme of stuff for years, yes, and it greatly delayed the launch of my YouTube channel. I can't exactly remember when I wanted to start on YouTube, because I've wanted to create videos like this ever since I saw the Angry Video Game Nerd way back in 2007. I know, yes, all the way back then, about 10 years ago. YouTube wasn't anywhere near as popular as it is now, so it was more about getting your own website and hosting your own content. Anyway, it wasn't before until maybe 2009 before I actually did something with YouTube and finally created my YouTube channel. Unfortunately, me being me, I decided to create a completely unique email address that was just 8 digits, I believe, and had its own super secret password. Why did I do this? Well, I was worried about getting hacked, yes, and having a subscriber base of 0 would have made that happen. Yeah. Well, in fairness to myself, having a careful mentality when it comes to YouTube isn't a terrible practice, but there is a limit to how far you should take this, yes. I mean, really, this is taking it to a crazy limit straight off the bat. Well, it backfired on me, yes, since I left the YouTube stuff and focused on university and my career for a good number of years after that, until I came back to start it all up again in, I believe, 2013. After all those years, do you think I could remember my password, Ace? Nope, I could not. My original channel is still there and can be found at www.youtube.com/user/RetroTK2. Complete with a subscription to Adult Swim, Harry Partridge, and Monty Python. Brilliant is. Still, I didn't let it get me down and got back to working on the launch of my channel. At this stage, I didn't create a new account and instead focused on creating titles to fit into the educational topics I wanted to cover. Here's an early mock-up I created for the channel and a way to organise the topics themselves. The idea was that the topics would be introduced using a banner at the top. Believe it or not, a large amount of work went into this format, Ace, only for me to go, bah, it's not good enough. let's leave it. This never saw the light of day, yes, well, until now of course, but I have to say I'm kinda glad of that. Not because it's terrible or bad or anything, it's just having to place titles into the videos can take up quite a lot of time. And if I had to do that several times for just one video, it would have been a real pain. Being organised is good, yes, but if you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you'll know that the way I introduce topics has changed constantly. This is because there is a balance between investigating a lot of time in a particular method and creating a quality intro that people will find engaging. The important thing is that this is not an exact science, and that it is okay to make mistakes. Or perhaps a better way to say this is, it's important to experiment, and if something isn't working for you, for whatever reason, change it. It took another 2 years before I finally got round to eventually uploading my first video to YouTube, Ace. In that time, I was practicing speaking to myself on my drives to work, and I was working on the initial intros to my videos. What should I have been doing? Well, I'd say I should have been uploading videos to YouTube. I should have been making mistakes, getting the constructive criticism from you, and learning from my experiences. I just kind of wish I'd relaxed more and had more fun with it. At least initially. It may seem like I'm getting down on myself or on my limitations, Ace, but I'm definitely not. I'm proud of having 100 plus videos published on YouTube, and I look forward to the next milestone that we reach together. In fact, I'm glad that I was able to put my perfectionism to one side and upload the Deadlight 22 Let's Play on Sunday. I mean, I could have not uploaded it and missed the Sunday deadline due to extreme procrastination, created this video, and then uploaded my actual 100th video. But no, I decided that publishing a video on Sunday is much more important than holding off and uploading the actual 100th episode. If you yourself feel you might have perfectionism or any of the other life traps, I definitely advise checking out the Reinventing Your Life book, if only as a starting point. It really has helped me a lot, Ace. A link to it is in the description. If you think it's something you can't handle on your own, or you feel that you have other problems relating to mental health, I'd strongly suggest seeing someone, Ace. If only to share your problems with someone. The road to a healthy state of mind is a long one, Ace, but I look forward to the day when I'm completely free of my life traps. And that's it. Rate, comment and subscribe, Ace. Thank you for being with me through 100 plus uploads. You can email me at retrotk2@gmail.com with other milestone ideas. Thank you for watching, Ace, and I'll see you in the next video.